welcome to another Corran on the Horn. I'm here with Matt Manning of Board Matt of fame. Yeah, if you haven't seen his trading card game content on the YouTube, he's Board Matt, and yeah. So also, I this is going to be an audio podcast, but I may pull video clips from it because that's my new thing. Before we started recording, we were talking about trying to be more pro. I'm trying to do the shorts, the video clips.
You got to do the shorts, man. All the kids are doing the shorts. I was just looking at my video, and I'm glad that this is only audio because I forgot to take out my cat poop scooping bag. You can see them on the shelf next to my Star Wars cards. So I'm glad that no one can see the cat poop disposal bags that are on the shelf. I have a cat. She's great. She's a black cat. So big shout out to other cat people here.
Yeah, definitely. I have cats. I got Acmina and Lucy. Let's start from the very beginning. How'd you get into Star Wars cards?
I started playing at my local library. I grew up in a town of 5,000, and we had tournaments at the library. And I think, I don't know, was I 6th or 7th grade? And I went to the local card store, and I think I started around maybe A New Hope, and kind of played in tournaments of the library. And I was always the little kid there, right? Not the little kid, but kind of it's mostly high schoolers, and I was in 6th grade. And so the difference between a 10th grader and a 6th grader is so big at that age.
Yeah.
Totally. Just a little annoying kid that is playing 25 stormtroopers, his one Darth Vader, and then trash, right, in his deck. And I think I was kind of an easy W there for a while, which is fine. But so I played kind of from that, 5th, so it's here, I don't know, 96 to 2000. And, finally with 2001, I had my first job. And so I started buying more cards, right? I could finally afford my own cards. And I opened up an eBay account, and I was buying stuff on eBay. So luckily for me, the stuff I bought the most of was Reflections 3. I think I bought 2 Reflections 3 boxes in 2001. And, that was the coolest thing because I had a little part-time job that pay you $5.15 an hour. So it's but I started that, and the game, lost its license in 2001, end of 2001, right? And it was just what do I do with this stuff? So I stuck it in a binder. I got a little bit into Lord of the Rings playing it, but I kind of just forgot about it for 20 years. And then 20 years later, COVID hits. I knew where all my Star Wars stuff was. I always had it was an inkling, a presence. It's I know it's in that one tub, and they're all organized. And occasionally I would take it out and look at it. And I had a couple kind of decks made, and I had actually a lot of interesting things I collected quite accidentally by having those Reflections 3 boxes I opened. Mm-hmm. I had some pretty good foils and stuff like that. And so I right around 2020, that summer when everyone was bored at home and telework and no one was sure the world's going to end, I got back into it. And it's been 5 years, and I just haven't really looked back. I started doing content maybe 2 years or a year and a half afterwards because I realized all the dumb questions I was asking, people were annoyed with answering for the 40th time. So I was what if I just put this in a video, right? And people don't have to ask repeatedly, where's the set symbol? Right? People don't have to ask repeatedly, hey, how do I value my collection? Or, hey, what are the good cards in Premiere or whatever? And I was what if I said a video that's these are the good uncommons from the game, right? Or good uncommons from Endor, Insurrection, great card. Everyone plays it still. Yeah. And so it's kind of just, I started to think from almost my own perspective, what would I want? What did I wish was out there? And just started doing videos, and it's been 3 years and 300 videos. It's a lot, but it's been a really
lot of video. That's a lot of content. That's good, and it's good stuff. That is, I will say, that is great. That is a great way to approach content. Make the stuff that you want to see, because I think some people, the whatever capitalism soapbox thing, you have to create content to consume content, whatever, and people will just create it just for the sake of making it, just because they're and especially in the Star Wars card context, it's there's there's not enough Star Wars card content, so we need to make more of it. And it's like, well, yeah, but it should be good. It should be. There should be a reason for it to be there. And not just. I don't want to. I mean, there's also a lot of good content, but I think that that's sort of one of the things that makes yours rise above a lot of the other stuff. Is that I feel like and that's why people watch it, because there's a reason for it. There's a reason
You're
for it.
saying it's not because of my charming personality. It's because it's no. I think that not to be like pedantic or anything, but I do
Mhm.
think that with all videos or content, what's the question you're trying to answer, right? Like, what are the cool cards coming out in the next set? Okay,
Mhm.
that's a question to answer. How are you going to go about answering that? Like, what are the structures, whatever? Like, hey, you want to get back into Star Wars CCG or NARP? How do you get back into it? What's the sort of roadmap to get people from finding a big box in their closet like I did to engage with the community, active on the Discord or the Slack or Reddit or whatever. And I think that so many people as well, like at this age, I think we're all roughly the same age in the community. It's funny being able to have YouTube stats, and to see
Yeah.
like with the audience. And I will just say that I got the males like 34 to 49 locked in. That's like 99%, 99% of the viewers. And then there's like 1% women. And I'm like, okay, I don't know where you are, but thank you very much for giving that,
That's the that's
view.
the that's the men logged into their wife's account.
Right,
Um,
right. No, it's like someone doesn't want to create a new account. It's
yeah.
just like Rosa, or something watching. But and so I think people in this age are all kind of like looking for community or something to do, and hobbies can be a really great community talking, whether it's the collecting side, the playing side, or just kind of like the commiserating side. I think it's nice to have that connection. Steve Sanders, for example, is someone that's become a very good friend of mine. We kind of, he does not live in the U.S. And we sit. I think we talk almost once a week, once every other week, and just about cards, about collecting, life, philosophy, all this stuff. But the foundational connection there was through cards, through a shared hobby, through the kind of same nostalgia that hit both of us. I'm 36. I think he's 38, maybe, right? And kind of that same little generation of like, hey, we all like the same stuff at the same
Mhm.
time, and we're locked in a generation that, we all grew up with PlayStation 2 and a little bit of PlayStation 1, but not really PlayStation 4, right? Or whatever. That wasn't growing up, but like we're
Right,
adults.
right, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Steve Sanders is a great guy. I interviewed him earlier this year. Um, but so I feel like you are one that there's sort of, you got back into the game with COVID. I think a lot of people got back into it around that time, and we haven't had huge growth in the community since then. But it does seem like, and you are sort of, connected with this. It seems like there's a lot of energy behind the retro formats right now. Um, what do you think is the cause of that? How can we get those players over to open, and how can even just the open community, what can we learn from the growth in the retro community?
yeah, so I mean, I think my sort of idea here is going from zero cards to open is a really long trip, right? Because this is a complex and intricate and beautiful game in many ways, right? But the learning curve of knowing when you're getting shield baited, right, and like or whatever in open is like really high, and the card pool is what 8,000, 4,000, I don't know, many thousand. And I think that's
Uh-huh.
just like a really hard way to learn like the beat counter beat, right? Like how do the six phases work, right? And when can you play stuff? And so retro is like a really soft and gentle way without a million different interactions. And frankly, it is not like always a pleasant, fun time. Like playing Premier to Hoth is like kind of a janky sense alter war, and you don't even know why it's a sense alter
Hmm.
war. It's like, oh, someone put down a revolution. If I don't sense this, I guess alter it, then I will have no generation. Oh crap, I lost, and now I lose the game. It's annoying, but you like learn like about resource management. You learn
Hmm.
about like how the basic mechanics work. And I do think we have people that graduate up to open. I
Right,
think that the
right.
key with all of this is there is no company that's going to save us, right? There's no company that's out here tweeting every single day, making TikToks, making Instagram, it's all on the players, right? The people, the collectors, the community to kind of keep things going. And I think about that a lot with content. Like Decipher does not exist or whatever it's doing. Like they're like a shell of itself.
He's very
And so,
busy.
like,
Warren Holland is very busy. I've reached out to him for an interview, and he said he was very busy. So
someday,
so
someday.
whatever he's gonna release that How to Host a Murder Party or whatever it's or whatever that game
Yeah.
that he's been working on for the last 20 years.
So I just think there is no there's never going to be a relaunch of this game. There's never going to be a reprint, right? Like I think there's a lot of these people that have
Mhm.
like, hey, I've been thinking about this game for 2 minutes. What if they sold the Disney gave the license to someone else?
Right,
Wouldn't
right.
that be cool? And then everyone's like, oh, that'd be cool. It's like that's never going to happen. I'm sorry. So like what we have is a players committee that's committed to the game. You have a lot of people that collect this because they're nostalgic or whatever. And I think it's a pretty steep learning curve for people that can't go to the local game store to buy it. Like the biggest question people ask me is like, how do I get into this? And I don't really have a good answer, right? Because to make an open deck, you might need like the most random of cards, and there's like what 3 places online that sell cards, maybe 4 or 5, but you got like B Fred, Category One, Pirate Pete, a few other, maybe 1 or 2 other
You got
ones, but
eBay. I mean,
eBay. Yeah, you have eBay, but I mean, eBay is confusing to use sometimes. Like just to get singles, it's
mhm.
like you're going to pay more in shipping to get
Right, right,
whatever
right.
timer mine shipped for you
Yeah.
for like an underneath slip.
Well, the nice
So,
thing
anyways,
is the
I
nice
think
thing is you don't need. I don't know if you've been paying attention that much, but now with full template V slips, you don't
yeah, you're
need the
right.
backing card. That has made building decks so much easier. Obviously it's this weird. Even understanding the backing card thing is a weird thing for people who haven't gotten into it.
Yeah, and like there's like the scary harbinger of Disney getting mad about an agreement in
Mhm.
2001, and I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I have no idea what the agreement is, but like I fully understand why they had that, and it does make it a lot easier than trying to find this random Jabba's palace common that I'm sure I have, but I can't locate. And I just wasted 15 minutes trying to find it in my whatever Vibro Axe or something.
Well, the
like
Jabba's Palace
So, anyways,
commons are fine. What's annoying is the Dagobah rares or something. A set that maybe you have a
Stone
limited
Pile. Are
amount
you
of.
referencing Stone Pile specifically?
There were a few years ago. There were several. Uh, Before we had AIs, or well, I guess before we had this rule, you had Solo. What had uh, I can't even remember what the backing card is. Something with his picture on it. Leia had, I think it was Reflection.
Yeah,
Was the
Reflections.
General Organa, and then a couple years ago, the first Grimtosh shield was Failure at the Cave, I think, which is literally a Dagobah rare. So there are these Dagobah rare red cards that you've never needed in 20 years, and then you have to dig through, and it's like, yes, I have 2,000 Dagobah cards, but I don't have 10,000 Dagobah cards. So like, if especially when my sets weren't organized by, or when my cards weren't organized by set, and so then you've just got your pile of 30,000 interrupts or 30,000, you just got a bunch of red cards and you're going through. Yeah. Yeah, that's the frustrating part.
Yeah, I still don't know the best way to organize my cards. Like, I still just have like an anthology box of locations because in my brain, I'm like, I think that's the easiest way to find all my locations
Mhm.
rather than like going through the pile to find a dark side Kessel, right? It's like I just know it's in the locations box and not in the premiere box or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
But finishing out your point on retro, like I think it is a fun format. You can play. The meta is it's a solved meta, right? Like you have decks that are better than other ones, and it's not like something like Open where it's constantly evolving and tweaking. And there's definitely A tier decks, but retro, it's like these are the 6 things to play. If you don't play these, you're probably going to lose unless you get a really good hand draw. I still think that Star Wars CCG would be revolutionized by a mulligan rule. I think that like that would solve almost the entire game is having a mulligan rule. That's my hot take. But I just think it's an easy way of getting people used to the game again. And anyone that says it's a negative play experience, totally true. Like there's negative play experiences. I would also just say playing like control players in Magic is a negative play experience. Right?
Mhm.
There's like lots of like negative play experiences that exist in gaming, and that's just kind of part of it. And it's almost like every time you get through a crappy match and you play another one, you get like a extra hit point. Right? Like
Right.
you just like get a little stronger.
Well, it's like I mean, negative play experience. It's like, what is what is that even? What is your negative? Is losing a negative play experience no matter what? I mean, I know what a negative play experience is for me, and you probably know what a negative play experience is for you. But they probably aren't the same thing. So because my thing with my thing with my the reason that I have advised new players against retro when when people ask me, or the reason that when I bring players in, I encourage them to play open. There's two reasons, and one of them is a bad reason because you guys have retro players now. Like for a while, if you wanted to go to an event, it was going to be an open event. So if you want, so everybody is event. So there was an idea that everybody is eventually going to play open. So you may as well learn open. So that's kind of not as relevant of a thing. Um, but from my perspective, I feel like open teaches the fundamentals of the game better than retro because you're not learning things that you don't need to know.
Mm.
Like like sense alter wars. I mean, if there's a calculus to that, which I don't know. Um, if there's a calculus to sense alter wars and a strategy to sense alter wars, I don't know it because that's not super relevant. I mean, obviously, you still sometimes play sense and you still sometimes play alter, but it doesn't. You're not going to play it 3 or 4 times and then the person who wins loses 5 force because they lose all of their senses and I get to keep all of my alters. It's not gonna be that swingy. It Canceling a key card is obviously a thing,
No,
but like
that's like
but the open
fair.
but the open game bottom line is because and even with shields, even with figuring out when to pull a shield, the open game for the most part is about controlling battlegrounds and winning battles and achieving the objective on your objective. And so you don't necessarily, although you do have to have, there are things that you have to know. You don't have to worry about asteroid rules or or some weird rules interaction with uh uh what's the one that you have to battle everywhere. The
Uh,
effect
uh,
that makes that you have to battle or else you lose 2 force.
is that about inserts maybe or like
No, it's another shielded card. What's the card?
um
um
come here you big
Order to
coward?
engage. Order to engage.
Order to engage. Yeah, the light side one.
Yeah. Yeah, like weird, yeah, weird interactions with order to engage, or insert cards or whatever. It They just sort of, I feel like some of those mechanics move away from they move you away from God's grace, as it were. It's
So
sort
so
of
I definitely hear you there, and I think you are sometimes learning kind of defunct cards, but I don't think you're learning defunct mechanics, right? And so
okay.
like the basic of a sense alter war is like beat counter beat, right? Like I do something that my opponent can
Mhm.
respond, and then I can respond to that. Like those are, I think, it's like learning about the stack in Magic or something, right? Like
Right, right.
understanding what it is will help you become a better player, even if you're not like doing a bunch of stuff with it. So like I think it's important to realize like when can you play an interrupt, right? Like you battle starts, you got like an Imperial command to add a battle destiny or whatever. When can you play that, right? And I think that like knowing your opponent can play something or your opponent shoots first with their weapons phase and then you can play this. And so I think that like that game flow stuff is one, Gemp is really helpful in teaching you that, but
Oh,
two,
totally.
retro is like a very safe playground. I think
Who
the
knew that
other
you had to
point,
pay a force for ship docking?
yeah, there are so many rules. Like I still don't really know how docking bays work. I'm just like, okay, I think I have enough force to move here. Like I think I do, every time I'm like, I have 6 force. I think this will be fine to move 2 characters.
So for the record, docking bay transit can move as many characters as you want for paying once. Just so
Well,
you
not if
shouldn't
it's
you
like an
shouldn't.
opponent one, right? Like it's like their transit 2 here, like going to like a dark side Endor platform.
There's a couple, there's like one or two that say your docking bay transit 2 here is plus, like I think it's the Death Star 2 docking bay says your
Yeah, I think
docking
we're
bay
like a lot
transit
of the
2 here
dark
is
side
plus 8.
sites, right? Like I think Endor landing platform dark side I think is more. Anyways, but uh, I think
Endor
the other
landing
point
platform is the one. You're right. It's not Death Star 2 docking bay. It's Endor landing platform that has the plus.
because that's a card that still sees a lot of play.
Yes.
But I think the other thing with retro is people want to come back to the familiar and safe. They're like, oh, I still got that Rebel Strike Team. Rebel Strike Team is terrible, right? Is a terrible objective. But if somebody thinks it's super fun in their brain to like hoard a bunch of little scouts and try to make a crappy mission to blow up the bunker, and like that's what gets them excited, then I think you need to go to like where that energy is, and like from there they can realize on their own that Ender Strike Team is bad and they can be like, oh, what can I build that's good? But like I think gravitating towards the familiar is like a safer way than
Mhm.
like here's 40 objectives, right? Like how many objectives does open have now? I'm guessing it's like at least 20 per side, right?
Right.
um,
Yeah, something like that. But also open, if you're learning open, you don't need to learn all those is the thing. Like you just need to learn like 6 or 7 per side. Really you only need to learn one, and then you need to learn you need to learn how to deal with the other ones one at a time. But
Yeah, I'd love to kind of even learn what the meta is in Open right now. I got to admit, I've played like 2 games of Open in the last while here, so it's been a minute. But anyways, I think I would love to get more into Open. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I've been trying to do some Open videos and Open content myself. I think it's a fun format, and I do think it's a world where like people can peacefully coexist. Like the retro people can, you can go both ways, if you will.
the farmer and the
Um,
cowman can be friends.
yeah, I think so. Um, I think the thing with retro is like it is. Do not underestimate the power of nostalgia. Like for
Mm.
this tournament we're running right now, it's an entire year long or 10 months long. We had almost 100 people sign up to play once a week, which is a pretty big barrier to entry. Like it is. You even have to spend $5 to enter it, which I think is a little barrier to enter. It's just annoying enough to chase off a few people. We had
Right,
almost
right.
100 people. And I think that's really good for the long term health of those games. Even if only 10 of those people graduate into open, that's like the kind of growth the game I think needs
So
to keep going.
with that 100 people, because I know that some of those, that's not all exclusive retro players. How would you say that breaks down between people who play whatever and people who play
I
exclusively?
think it's probably like 60-40. I think there's, like, if you look at the list of names, I see like, Dan or you see some like really good players on there, like
Mm-hmm.
the guys that just love Star Wars cards, want to play in every Star Wars card thing they possibly can. But I think I need to get the stats from Steve, but I'm pretty sure we had like 15 new people sign up,
Okay.
and I did a little video I think in January, like, hey, Retro League's open, you guys should sign up, and I always think like, who wants to watch this video? It turns out like 700 people did, right? Like, and I'm like, I don't understand why, but like the idea of this is very like alluring for a lot of people, and it's more exciting than whatever other content like Magic pack
Mm-hmm.
openings. I'd rather hear about retro. I'm like, okay, that's great.
Right, right,
Love
right.
to see that.
Yeah. Actually, you have a good way. I don't know if you have like SEO figured out or what, but your videos do, or maybe it's just because you consistently produce high quality content. Maybe it's the cream rising to the top. But like even back, I remember in like 2022 or whatever, when I was in the smokes filled back rooms of the players committee, the club, our club 88 or whatever. No, it was the marketing Slack channel. But I remember when Jared Napolitano kind of found your stuff and was like, his videos get a lot of views, and
Honestly, I don't really know what it is either. It's not my cat's account. Like that's only one extra view, right? But I do think that YouTube was sort of untapped a little bit, and I'm
Mhm.
not saying I'm like this big pioneer, but I think there was just like there is millions of people that use YouTube. I'm shocked by like before doing these videos, I was not a big YouTube guy. I just knew people that did it, and I realized also there's a lot of people that care a lot about collectibles. Like I think if you have to like think about my brain, I'm like 50% playing, 50% collecting. Like I have cards. You can see
Mhm.
over there. There is cards on a shelf, right? I think it's fun to collect, but I also think it's very fun to play, right? And so like fundamentally I'm like a 50-50 split, but I think there's a lot of people that care a lot about collecting that
Mhm.
and that honestly also care about things like market and like my background is I am an economist. Like that's my day job. My hat, the hat that I wear every day is like I do think about this stuff. So I was like, well, what if I kind of took like I'm not totally sold on like the cards as an asset as like an idea, but like this is kind of fun to think about. Prices go up, prices go down. What happened with COVID? What it kind of COVID coincided with this, nostalgia rule of 20, right? People come back to stuff 20 years later, right? It's because like in my case, I was 13, 14 playing this game. 20 years later, I'm in my mid 30s. I got a job. I'm interested. I'm bored. Let me go back to my familiar hobbies. Like this is why Harry Potter, like this isn't just like an internet thing, right? This is the reason why you're getting a Harry Potter remake 20 years after. Like
Mhm.
this is like a Hollywood
Right.
thing as well.
Well, what I always point to is the Weezer Buddy Holly music video, which we are which we are nostalgic for because it's just over 20 years old. It's actually a little bit we're moving a little bit past that. That's how you know you're getting old when you think 20 years ago and it's actually 30 years ago. But the Weezer Buddy Holly music video is is based off is a send up of Happy Days, which was playing on so it's playing which was a 70s show that's about the 50s. So, you know, Happy Days is playing into that 20-year nostalgia cycle, and then Weezer is playing into that 20-year nostalgia cycle with Happy Days, and now we're playing into the 20-year nostalgia uh, with Weezer. So
We're
I
locked in it, man.
yeah.
One point in the search engine optimization stuff, that honestly the titles of videos and thumbnails, I think that like that is half the battle. Anyone that's out there like and they don't want to spend the extra 20 minutes to make a thumbnail or 15 minutes, I highly recommend getting a cool thumbnail. Like that is probably the biggest thing. But I just find people love lists. Like people like 5 things you didn't know you need
Mm.
to know about Star Wars CCG. People would click that because they're like, oh, what do I need to know? And so there's just an attraction and that people have to lists and I hate the clickbaity stuff, but I've kind of gravitated towards like you open a pack, crazy pull. It was a mid rare, but like you
Uh-huh.
kind of want to. How are you going to hook your audience a little bit? Because ultimately, you want people to enjoy your content, and if they're not watching it, then why make it, right? Except I guess
Mm-hmm.
for yourself.
Well, yeah. At least you're making it for yourself, and also the other reason that I make it is just in case I make something that a bunch of people watch, then you know they'll be able to go back on the and find my catalog of other quality content. You know that's always the hope. Of course, I did have a somewhat viral video. That's got like several tens of thousands of views.
Was that the Titanic one?
Home Alone.
Home
It's
Alone. Okay,
the
yeah, yeah,
Home
yeah.
Alone. It's Home Alone spliced with planes, trains, and automobiles, and I called it Home
Mm.
Alone deleted scene. And it's where his mom is where the mom is like freaking out at the airport, and then it cuts to the lady in planes, trains, and automobiles saying you're fucked. And yeah, it has a lot of views, but did not get a single subscriber from it.
Honestly, the subscriber thing, like I kind of stalled out with subscribers. It's just a number, right? Like I'm like 1,800. I'd love to hit 2,000 someday, but I'm like, whatever. It doesn't really matter
That's
to me.
that 1800 is pretty good. I think I have less than 200, so
But you're also spread across a bunch of platforms. Like
yeah.
this is the thing I'll say. Like, is I only do the YouTube stuff, and if I was less lazy and I just had someone also cracking the whip on me a little bit, I would probably
Mhm.
have like an Instagram and a Twitter or a Blue
Well,
Sky or
that's the thing is now you have to be spread, but also if I want to be like ethical, I can't be on Twitter anymore. And I'm supposed to be mad at Mark Zuckerberg, so I can't be on threads anymore. And also like mental health stuff, keeping away from those things. I just moved, or I mean, I was doing podcasts on Spotify, but now I'm like all the way on Spotify. And but it's like, how do you know, is there any discoverability there? I don't know. Yeah, I mean, you're right that I have, I probably have a bunch of people who just listen to me on, Apple Podcasts or whatever. But yeah.
Yeah, I do. I think it's good to spread yourself out a little bit, and the discoverability thing is big, right? Like, how do new people come to this? Like, I also post my videos in several groups, and I think that's how a lot of people found
Mhm.
my channel because you're just lost in a sea of content otherwise. Like,
Yeah.
everyone's competing for eyeballs, right? Minutes and eyeballs. Those are the new metrics. That's the new gold, right? Like, how long can you get people's eyeballs on your stuff?
Yeah.
And I think it's really difficult. And I kind of gave up on earnest titles of Star Wars CCG pack opening to Premiere Crazy Open. I don't even do pack openings really anymore. It's too expensive. But like, I kind of just said, okay, that's fine. I would rather have people click the video and enjoy the content than just
Mhm.
scroll, right? And that's
Um.
that's just what we're all doing now, scrolling.
Yeah. Have you gotten into, and because I'm not I don't know if I'm a subscriber to your videos. I
Just,
sometimes
just,
click on
just.
stuff,
That's
but
okay.
I do click on some stuff and I watch some stuff occasionally. But have you have you gotten into doing shorts?
A little bit. Shorts is like a weird platform, and not for the audience to get too into like meta crap, but like Shorts is weird because like I got some of the new Final Fantasy Magic set, which
Uh huh.
whatever I played in the draft, and I put a short of me opening one of the collector packs that I got at MSRP, and it
Hmm.
got like 1,200 views in 2 hours,
Yeah.
and then it was like flat. But for 2 hours, I was a damn king. I was like, my god. And so I think it is a way of the discoverability, but like it's like I don't know, like a firework, right? It goes
Hmm.
up, it
Hmm.
explodes, and then it's done, and there's nothing left, and no one will ever look at that ever again.
So I did shorts for UFO 50, the video game. I did 31 of the games and then I kind of got burnt out on it. But there's 50 games, that's a lot. But
It's a lot.
I actually still get some engagement on those a few months after the fact. Mostly people telling me that I'm wrong. But that's it's usually people telling me that if I gave a bad, because the reviews were so half-assed. Like it was like I'd play a game for an hour and then do a 1 minute review video, and a lot of them like were I had sort of a negative first impression of it, and then apparently it's one of them that has like these like giant internet followings. Like there's a game called Mooncat. Do you know what UFO 50 is?
I don't, but
It,
I'm thinking about googling it as we talk.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's the greatest thing ever. So it's a bunch of indie game developers. In 2018, they decided they were going to do a project based on a fictional uh, video game console from the 1980s,
Mm,
and basically develop 50 games. And when you hear that, you think it's going to be like 50 like mini games, like these are like Mario Party games or whatever. No, these are legitimately like, I mean, they're some of them are a little short, or some of them are shorter than others, but like legitimately, they are. You could sell these each of these games at retail on the NES, and so they're really deep and really it's a really interesting project. But there's a game called Mooncat that people on the internet love, and I don't. Uh, where the gimmick of it is that instead of having a control scheme that makes sense, all of the buttons on the left side of the controller make your character go left, and all of the buttons on the right side of your controller make your character go right. And if you push
mm,
a button on each side, then your character jumps. And so it's kind of a joke of a game to me. But also like if you get used to the control scheme, there's a bunch of like secrets and shortcuts, and people really like the art style and the music and all this stuff. So there's some people that don't like that I didn't like it. But yeah, those shorts were, I did them in the form of shorts just to get used to the format, editing videos as squares and making them less than however long. For sometimes it's less than a minute, sometimes it's less than 3 minutes. I don't know.
So I have like this bigger. I mean, I'll have to go check those out. That sounds interesting, but I hate to bring sort of negativity to this, but I kind of think that we're on this like really bad content spiral right now, where like our attention spans are shattered, right? And
Mm-hmm.
and that's like modern life, this postmodern view that like everyone can't pay attention more than 5 minutes, right?
Right, right, right.
Maybe not even 35 seconds, right? And so your attention span is shattered. People are like need to put bolded words or all caps and titles to hook you. And we're all obsessed with like even thumbnails, right? Is like an art, right? Like Mr. Beast spends like a $100,000 on a freaking thumbnail, right? Like moving his big face. That's all these thumbnails as well, like these big like, oh, I can't believe it, you'll never believe what happened. And like I don't ever want to go down that path, but I just feel like, and then there's also this like rage bait, right? Where there's an entire world where like you just talk shit about like people's really popular games. Like go, what's the game I play that's immense? KCD2, right? I love that game, but
Mm-hmm.
like I'm sure there's a YouTube guy that's just made his bread making fun of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and people are just like in the comments being mad at him, or
Right,
like
right,
that
right.
weird guy that was like wiping banana peels on his face. I forget, I don't remember that like athlete kind of guy, this morning routine. There's like an entire world of just like having bad takes and having people get angry at you, and then you
Mm-hmm.
make money because people are mad at you on the internet. And it's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it just sucks because it doesn't feel like anyone has good motivations, like
yeah,
good
yeah.
motive.
I mean, I don't know. I think but there are good content creators out there too, and I think that there's some success to that. I mean, that's actually something that I realized a few years ago. I realized that if I'm not careful, like basically, I realized that since so much of my content is media criticism, first of all, that's where I was like, oh, that's like a nice thing about talking about Star Wars cards is because you can actually be saying, here's how to get better at the game. Here's history, fact. Here's history. Here's actual knowledge. That we can share. Here are our individual stories. These things other than that card is bad. Like there's that the Office where Andy is like I could be a movie critic. That movie is bad, or a food critic. This food is bad. Like a while ago, I realized that it's way easier to be critical of a piece of media or something, like to complain about a thing, than it is to create something that's engaging and celebrating. And I still can be pretty critical of things, um, but I do try to go out of my way to sort of to make positive
Coming from
content.
a critical person lens, I will say that being overly critical in my life also robs me of enjoyment of things because I feel like I'm always just looking for something to be wrong or like a reason to be mad. And it just like robs me of enjoyment, right? And I think that it makes me sort of sad or mad. I'm not sure what emotion, but like to think that there's entire YouTube channels that just like make their bread off of like hating on Disney Star Wars stuff,
Right,
right?
right,
Or like,
right.
we can't believe Ray was Ray Skywalker. All right, I'm going to make a view. Ray Skywalker, this is crap. And like, they get 500,000 views and like they're trying to
Yeah,
just like make money off of negativity. And it just like sucks. Like it sucks that the same thing happened with like Rings of Power. They're upset about, the choice of casting, right? And like the
right, right,
number of
right.
videos that want about that. It's like, that sucks. That's just a
Mm-hmm.
crappy life
Mm-hmm.
philosophy, in my opinion.
Yep,
Like
yep.
rage bait endlessly.
And I mean that's not a new thing. I mean, when I was in high school, I listened to Sean Hannity just so that I could get mad. Like we did that. Yeah, that was the whole thing with Howard Stern. I mean, I think, I mean, not that I have anything, not that I have an opinion about his content, but because I think a lot of people like it, but like the idea of a lot part of the idea, according to the movie that I saw, uh, you know, the average person who enjoyed Howard Stern would listen to him for 15 minutes. The average person that hated Howard Stern would listen to him for 30 minutes. So
That's an interesting data point. I
I,
think you're right. Like this is a tale old as time. I think it's just different now because it's truly like a globalized thing where
mhm,
like
mhm.
you got people running like troll farms in North Macedonia, right? Like it's
Right,
just
right,
like a
right.
different
Oh,
ball game
totally.
than like XM Radio has a couple big troll personalities to like. There's just fake AI bots being run out of all sorts of
Hmm,
places,
hmm. Oh yeah,
pretending to
yeah,
be boomers. So,
yeah,
anyways,
yeah,
yeah, the
definitely.
state of the world.
Yeah, the people still complaining about the sequel trilogy. That's its own thing. Like I was talking about it on the when I was talking to the other Matt, uh, 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 Matt Thornton, but we were talking about Andor on the last episode, and I just edited it yesterday, but I was like, when I saw Rise of Skywalker, like 2 weeks later, Fallen Order came out, and like The Mandalorian was like still coming out, and there was a new Star Wars card set like 3 weeks later, and then I read another book a month later. Like the fact that people were even still like, I don't even think about like I don't even think about that stuff because there's been so much more, Star Wars content out there to engage with and to celebrate. Um,
Yeah,
but
there's gonna be some stinkers, and it's okay.
uh huh,
Like, and like, there's gonna be some stuff that's divisive. It wasn't my favorite movie in the world either, but
yeah.
I don't feel the need to go on the internet and talk about it at
And I
length.
mean, the fact of the matter is, I liked it, but I mean, my only complaint is that we haven't pushed the timeline forward at all.
Hmm.
But also, there's been lots of cool stuff coming out, and it's like when projects get canceled, I'm like, there's still other projects, I don't like that they. I mean, it's the whole cycle of all the things. I don't like that Disney seems like it. They want to announce. They like announcing Star Wars projects. They don't like completing Star Wars projects. But um, anyway, that's
That's a fair
we're getting
point.
off. I'm trying, but Star Wars cards though.
Star Wars
Um,
card.
let's let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and transition into. Oh, well, actually no. So you ran a tournament. Uh, how'd that go on the tournament on the 14th?
So Andy was really the mastermind there, Andy Talaga, but I did have a chance to see him last week, and the tournament went well. I think it might be the final matchup happening right now, but it was a single elimination. It was kind of the March Madness of Star Wars cards, which I actually think putting everybody in a bracket and giving them a seed, and I think it's a good exercise. People like tournaments, right? And people
Mm-hmm.
like playing and moving towards something. And I think it's sort of like if you build it, they will come thing, right? Like if you put out tournaments for retro. I mean, this is the third year we've been running a retro tournament all year, and that's Steve Sanders' baby. And then Andy just had this idea to do a sort of 6 week long single elimination tournament. And I believe we had 64 people. Went 64 all the way down. I think it was over 64 actually. And then I think that if you provide avenues for people to play and hang out and enjoy the game, they will. And I mean, that's why GEMP is popular, right? GEMP works because someone put in the thousands of hours to code all these cards.
But didn't you do a live event on the 14th? Am I making that
Oh,
up?
oh no, I'm sorry. We did a cube event. Sorry, I
Okay,
thought you were talking about the other tournament. Yeah, we did a cube event.
you're
We had
running too
we
many
had,
events.
no, sorry, I forgot. Yeah, that was fun, man. We went to probably the nicest gaming store I've ever seen. It was like this glimpse because my gaming store in town is like a little. I love it to death, but you're in a tight chair, sitting like this. And this is one of these like newfangled ones where they have like everyone's in one of these fancy chairs and they're all like, there's a stream zone and they kind of got like that modern flair or whatever. It was very nice, but we had 7 people turn out for a cube. Cube is just a great way to play. We didn't have any prize for anything like that, but I think it's this like getting people together and all had a nice lunch afterwards, or I guess it was dinner. But it's fun to meet real people and to realize that like these people are out there and They're willing to come in. We had a guy drive up from Richmond, which is like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours with traffic to get there. And so I'm happy that I gave him a fun afternoon. We got to sit and chat and talk the game. Um, and so I think just like I would actually love to think about an open cube, but I think cube is a really fun way to play this game.
Mhm.
Get the draft. Everyone loves drafting, right? Because it also levels a skill playing field a little bit, where you're not just like the best player wins. It's like you can really draft the best cards, or a little bit of
Mhm.
luck involved there.
Yeah, I mean there is an open cube that's like the cube that people play. I think Throdo ran it in at Worlds, and then they've done a couple of events since then. There's a group in Pittsburgh that plays the cube a couple times a year. I didn't the couple times that I've never played cube in Star Wars, but I didn't like it when I played Magic, and so I've sort of stayed away from it. But what is the so you weren't playing the cube? What what was the cube that you guys played at? What did it consist of?
So this was premiere through Reflections 3 and no episode 1. So there's like, basically everyone gets I think three 15 card little packs and dragon shields, and you take one, you look at the pack, you take one, and you pass it to your right. And then you have, I think, 25 ish fixed cards. It's sort of like heading to the medical frigates and docking bays, some, basic stuff that are like fixed that you can easily, put back or,
Mm-hmm.
you know, so plug into the deck few locations. And honestly, it played pretty well. You build a 40 card deck. The thing about 40 cards is you cannot do very much with 40 cards. The game is over pretty quick, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't bother with a Star Destroyer. You can't afford it. Like, you're never really going to have 12 force in your force pile. But yeah, this was a guy, I forget his name. I know his Discord handle, but he's kind of has this cube that he's been building, and he's turns out he's based 45 minutes away, so we all got together. But there's lots of Andy has a bunch of ideas for cubes as well, so I think it's a fun way to play. If you have the time, it does take a little longer to draft because you got to draft both sides, so that can be like an
Mm-hmm.
extra. It's like building two decks rather than building just one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. When we used to do limited, we would each player would get assigned a side of the force, and then you would just draft one side. But yeah, yeah, it takes
I guess that can work. That could work well if you have enough people, right? Like if you
right.
have like 16 people, 8 people are drafting, or eight. If you have eight, four draft light side, four draft dark side, that could
Mm-hmm.
work. But yeah, I think with us, we drafted both sides, so
Yeah,
it
yeah,
was
yeah,
a lot of deck building.
yeah. Well, and that's the fun. The draft is the fun part anyway. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's just
that's 100% true.
yeah. The other issue, of course, the other issue with the draft is then it makes the day longer because that's been when the because I've I don't know. I I've gone to a bunch of I would go to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's a 4 hour drive for me, and I will go there for an open event. For a cube event, that's a tougher sell, and then they also start an hour earlier, so because they have to draft. So I would have to leave the house at like 6 o'clock in the morning because I drive slow, and and
You drive safely, Kendall.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I hear you there. There's something I've been thinking about. It's like when you're playing cards, I swear you're in a friggin' time warp, right? Where you just like look and like 3 hours have passed and you're like, I haven't eaten since dawn. And like, I haven't had a sip of water in 4 hours. And
right,
like, it's
right,
just the
right.
time floats away. I don't know. It's like the fastest way to pass time is to sit and play cards. Because you'll be amazed, like, especially Star Wars stuff, because game of Star Wars can drag out to like an hour
Right, right.
plus. Right? And you're like,
And,
look, like, how the
and
hell is that
sometimes
out?
I found recently, sometimes I love that when you get a game of like a casual game of Star Wars that lasts like 2 hours because you're not cutting it off for the time limits or whatever, and you just have a long game that's like super interactive and stuff, but it just because of the game it takes forever.
Well, it
I
allows you to get a little
enjoy those
invested in the
systems.
board state, right?
Hmm.
Like you can kind of get invested in whatever you're doing, like your little project, your characters, whatever. It's kind of nice to get invested in the game state, and uh, you know,
because like you
actually
play a
unplayable.
game, you play a game of Monopoly or you play a game of Risk, and it takes hours. The game is not necessarily bad because it takes more than an hour to play. Now, it's hard to if everybody's getting together and we got to figure out who wins the day. You got to play more than one game. But and in fact, you have to play a lot of games because of the two sides thing. Um,
Yeah.
that's the struggle inherent to Star
Sometimes
Wars.
I wish if I had a time machine, I would go back and make it just one side, like and then like have some affinity marker on there and a penalty
It's
or something.
it's so hard because like sometimes, and it's like, I mean, it's like the jank and the NPE and the defensive shields and things. It's like, yes, if the game was designed now, it would not it would not be like this. But also, if the game was designed now, I would not be playing it.
Yeah,
Like the game is too complicated to bring new people in. Like, I mean, there's we can do our best to accommodate people who are going to meet us halfway, or bring people back who stepped away, or whatever, do whatever we can to grow the community be nice to people or whatever. We can do all the things, but the game is never going to be as accessible as Star Wars Unlimited, or even as accessible as Magic the Gathering. Um, but when I got back into Magic the Gathering last summer, I got bored of it after about 2 weeks because I mean, I'm not saying that I was good at it. Like I'm not saying I was successful at it, but I just you know I was I could kind of I got to where I was like, okay, every game is feeling the same, every
yeah.
matchup is feeling the same. Star Wars doesn't do reprints. Like they don't, Magic, the next set, one set it's +2, and the next set it's +3, and the next set it's +2 +3, like, but they're the same cards.
Yeah, it's a great way to set money on fire as well, right? Like
Yeah.
you can kind of like as someone who's a little into Magic right now, and I'm enjoying the Final Fantasy stuff. I'm going to a draft night at my local game store because I find drafting really fun. Um, but it is like I can't keep up with this, man. Another set's coming out in 3 weeks, or not 3 weeks. So I think the end of July, and I'm like, I can't. I'm not made of money here.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
But
and
even
I don't
just
know.
but even just like fundamentally, like every time a new Star Wars card is designed, for the most part, it is a complete, like there are enough variables on that card that it is a completely new and unique card. Uh,
Right.
whereas with almost any other game, you're just tweaking the math a little bit on new cards, and I,
That's
I think
fair.
I think that is actually huge for Star Wars cards, and it's something that you would never have in a game that was designed today, because that's actually probably bad game design. It's
I mean, I do think that this sort of cognitive load thing, right? It is high. Like there are some times when I'm playing in retro. I think it's easier than open, right? Because open you have the additional. There's just more things to know, right? I think it is streamlined, but there's bigger card pool, whatever. But the cognitive load thing is real. I'm like, I cannot keep track of like, oh crap, you got mobilization points. You occupy that docking bay. That's +2 generation because you occupy it, or whatever. Like that kind of stuff is just too much for my feeble brain. At the
yeah,
end of the
yeah,
day,
yeah,
like I have too many other games rattling around. Like I've been playing in this Magic thing. And I also got like a little bit into Star Wars Unlimited, like minimally. And I'm like, do I draw 8 or is it 7? Right, as an opening hand, like Star Wars is 8, Star Wars Unlimited is 6, or is it 7? And then Magic is 7. Oh crap! Like
Yu-Gi-Oh is
and
5.
Yu-Gi-Oh's 5. No one knows what Pokemon is because no one ever played it. But like, it's just like these numbers and like turn flow and damage. Like, okay, Star Wars Unlimited, you got counters, damage counters. Star
Uh-huh.
Wars CCG doesn't matter, but you have
Yeah.
attrition, and it's just a lot of rules to keep in my brain.
The
And my brain,
Yeah, yeah, I mean, when you're learning a new deck in Star Wars CCG, I was like, I played like 2 games with Invasion a few months ago. I built an Invasion deck, and it was
it's
one of the
fun.
first times I
Yeah,
played it. And I was playing, and I was like, man, this deck could really use like 2 more activation. apparently this card gives me +1 activation and this card gives me +1 activation. I was activating 2 short all game.
Mm. Yeah, especially if you're playing in paper and like you don't have this little thing
Oh
reminding
yeah,
you.
yeah. Yeah, and that's where Gemp is like a double-edged sword because it it gets it right when you're playing on Gemp, but if you transition to paper and you weren't paying attention when you were playing on Gemp, then like sometimes you miss stuff and you just like, why isn't this work the way that I thought it did? But
Yeah.
anyway, let's jump into the Pivo questionnaire based on James Lipton's Inside the Actors Studio. Uh, Interpret the questions however you like. Just don't some of the questions mirror each other. So if I ask you for a thing that you like, don't say just not the thing I don't like.
Okay.
So first question: what is your favorite card?
Favorite card? Um, I think it might be Destroy Droid. It's just like a cool built-in weapon card. I always thought they were cool. Kind of like I loved Phantom Menace, so I think maybe Destroy Droid. Cool card,
Destroyer
useful.
Droid is a cool card, and it's like one of those like that when you're at an exact point in your collection where you're like, I'm just gonna buy all the Destroyer Droids, and then they're
It's
very
also like,
expensive.
why is this $25? Like, this is annoying.
But Droidica is
Yeah, it's
affordable,
a good stuff.
and
Yeah.
Droidica is good. Mixing the two up is good. What is your least favorite card?
Um, some of like the inserts jank stuff, right? Never tell me the odds or whatever it is. I just like it's annoying. I hate it. A runner up might be like Forlom with concussion rifle. Like I just think that
Okay,
card is annoying as f. Like it's just having like your EPP's weapon taken away because it cancels your game text is very annoying.
no, that's interesting. That's one of my favorite cards. The I My biggest issue with the 3,720 to 1 and the Never Tell Me the Odds is that I feel like those two cards ruined the insert as a card type. Like, I
Mm.
mean, Anger, Fear, Aggression is a little bit problematic, and there might be one or two of the other ones that have ways of abusing them that I don't know. But those two cards just like make it so that we just had to insert cards just had to be nuked from orbit, and they never made any more insert cards, and it's kind of a neat mechanic.
Yeah, no, it's
Um,
not a bad idea, right? Like messing with your opponents, especially if you're in like a high skill level, like messing with their draw order could be a big deal, right?
right,
For tracking purposes or whatever. But I think it just not good cards, not good play experience. That's I think a universal bad play experience for people.
right. Um, what types of cards stimulate your creativity?
Um, Cards that like specific to Star Wars CCG, right?
Yeah, more or less. I mean, if you
Okay.
want to speak if you want to speak more generally, then that's fine.
Um, I really like when you can like put together the kind of puzzle pieces of like an objective and like how it can you can deck build around it. So I think it's like a kind of bad objective that you can then like figure out like, well, actually there's this hidden synergy with this obscure card from Tatooine, and like you're maybe not building like a tier 1 deck, but you're building something interesting or unique-ish. With that said, I also net
Mhm.
deck all the time, so like I'm not immune to like finding a list
Right,
online.
right,
But if I
right,
can like find that little puzzle piece, it's a sense of enjoyment.
right. The it, it it's almost like a paint by numbers thing where it's like, okay, this deck does direct damage. How can I bring in all the cards that do direct damage? Yeah, I
Right.
get that.
I think like Invasion's very fun because I'm like, there's so many weird little droids and like or switch off random Hoth card that
Mhm.
is going to be I think it yeah I think or like switch off plus Guri, right? Like you can't target Guri with a weapon because switch off. Like that's a cool little synergy that's so random. Like this Hoth card that's Destiny
Right,
6.
right.
It's good in droid decks. That's cool. Right, figure
Yeah,
that out.
or force servitude with Guri.
Yeah,
Yeah. Uh,
Guri's a cool card.
Or Guri with Guri. Yeah, or Guri on Stinger. Um, what 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 types of cards just make you want to quit the game?
um, non-interactive stuff, and I think Open's done a really good job with helping with the interactiveness and forcing players to collide. But like Visage of the Emperor, man, I hate that. Like I get it, I understand why it's there, but like this like non-interactive, like little ping. Also, cards that ping you that they just drive me insane. Like or losing to order to engage or uncontrollable fury can be an annoying card. Like I think it's well designed, but just like things that ping you if you don't do
Mhm.
something can be kind of frustrating.
I just hate pings that I'm liable to forget. Like
Yeah.
I mean, the worst one, and I've been known to play Court of the Vile Gangster from time to time, but the worst one is the court ping at the end of your opponent's deploy phase. That's
Mm.
that's
Pretty
so
random one.
awkward. Like it's I understand why one guy thought it was a good idea because you want to have it happen. You want to have them demonstrate that they have a card. You want to give them the chance to play a card every turn, and you don't want them to be impacted by battle. But like, just make them let it be impacted by battle.
I wish that just like all pings are at the end of the draw phase, or all
Right.
pings are in the control phase, or like
Yeah,
just have it be universal, not like okay, Visage is the end of the draw phase,
yeah,
I
yeah,
think, and
yeah. The
like
end of turn. It's the end of
end of
turn, so it's after
turn.
you recirculate. Yeah.
Yeah, and then like for example, I think Prophet's ping is I think the beginning of the turn, maybe.
Profit pings, I think, during control phase.
Yeah, and so it's just
Yeah.
just, and I
Yeah, I
understand
think.
why.
Yeah, I think that it's easiest. It makes the most sense for pings to trigger during the player whose card it is during their control phase. So like occupation or you'll be dead or whatever. Because that's sort of when you're thinking about doing direct damage to your opponent already with force drains.
I
Um,
think that's right. Yeah.
that makes the most sense. Yeah, Visage, at least Visage, both players have it happen every turn. So like if you've got so both of you should be remembering. But yeah, it can be annoying. What is your favorite Star Wars term or phrase?
Hmm. Um, I've always kind of liked force train, right? Like I think it's like a nice like concept and idea. Um, what else kind of jumps out at me? I mean, I honestly also really enjoy the debate whether it's executor or executor. Like I think that's just like an age old debate that no one knows. So I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
that's going to be up there as well.
Well, I think most of us know that like objectively it's probably executor, but executor sounds so much better. And like the ship in the Force Awakens is called the Finalizer, which is also not a word. So executor sounds cooler. Um,
Um,
what
I guess you're right. Executor is not a word. I was thinking executioner.
right, because it's executioner, or there's the executor of an estate. Um,
Yeah,
which
man, I'm learning new
yeah,
words today. Thanks for
yeah. It's
keeping me sharp.
look, it's fine, but it doesn't have to be a word. It's a proper noun. I mean, we don't.
Um,
Youngling is also not a word.
youngling actually that might be in the high up. Like that's a term. Like I use that for my daughter. Like she's a youngling, right? Like I think
Uh,
it's just a good entry into the English language vernacular. That thank you Star Wars for that.
I remember when I saw, and I loved the prequels. I loved Revenge of the Sith, and I was totally 100% invested in the Revenge of the Sith and everything. But I was actually taken out when Padme has her line where she says, Obi-Wan said terrible things, that you've turned to the dark side, that you're killing younglings. Like, I don't know. For some reason, I couldn't take her seriously when she said killing younglings.
Natalie Portman is an excellent actress most of the time. Um, All right, next question.
Okay,
What do we got?
next question. What opponent's deck do you like to see?
Um, Honestly, like if I'm light side, I like seeing dark side aliens. Like there's a bunch of variations, but I think it's fun. It's like a twist on what you expect, right? And so I like seeing the boba, the jabba, the bib, whatever. Like a court deck. I think they're just kind of fun to play with, and there's kind of like a trick involved. So I like seeing that. And then if I'm dark side, uh, I like seeing them playing a deck that I know is going to be a really high card load. Like for example, like hidden base X wings or something, right? Where I'm like, they're gonna have like 20 cards on the table. Like I wonder if I could just like push them enough to get them out early, right? Where they can't really
Uh huh.
do much. They have so many cards out between 5 locations and 10 X wings.
Hmm.
It's like
Hmm.
half your deck is on the table, right?
Yeah, I had a game I was playing against. I'm trying to think what the exact context was, but I was playing against a guy that showed up to a tournament having not played for 20 years.
Mm,
So he was, he had two decks that were probably competitive in 1998, and we were playing, open decks, and
nice.
and one of the game, and both of them were exclusively space decks. And I don't remember what light side deck I was playing. I don't think I was playing Zero. I was playing Luke Saga. So I was playing a mains deck that only
Mm,
had like two sites and no space, and he's playing all space and could only find one of his locations. So he's activating like 3 force a turn. He didn't have any way of pulling locations, and I basically, I think I or no, I had a little bit. I had a token space, which we had a little bit of engagement. But like for the most part, like nothing. And I had, well, no, I think this was the other game. I don't remember what his light side deck was. Yeah, I don't remember what his light side deck was, but it was also a space deck. It must have been hidden base. Oh, it was hidden base. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, it was hidden base, and I basically was ignoring him in space, and he wasn't drawing enough. He couldn't find his base or something, so he wasn't force draining me. But I had like half my deck on the table, just not because it's open format. So you start with 10 cards on the table, then you put your sights out, then you get a couple of ships and a couple of guys. Like I was not over deploying, but I still had 20 or 30 cards on the table. And I was doing like 4 force a turn, which is decent damage. But when that's all you're doing, it was a thing. He was like,
yeah.
yeah, but he wasn't doing any damage to me. It was rough. But anyway, I sometimes I talk a lot in these interviews. Um,
So
what opponent's deck do you want to avoid?
Um, something where I can just like see that it's like not interactive. Like a mind what you can learn, or like even like throne room mains kind of deals. The throne room mains are very interactive. It's just like annoying. It's just like there's some stuff where like I know it's going to be annoying to play against. Kind of like weird gimmick stuff as
Yeah.
well.
Well, throne room is probably trying to force choke you to prevent you from getting to
Yeah,
play
like they're
your
getting
game.
like a bunch of revolutions out or something early on, and you just
Mhm.
don't activate anything ever again. And so something like that.
What Star Wars job would you want to try?
Um, I think like a smuggler, maybe. It seems kind of. It's funny because I choose in my real life to not be a smuggler right now, right? Like you know what I mean. Like I'm not going to Canada to get some cigarettes to sell here or something.
Uh huh.
But like I think being a smuggler would be kind of fun.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. I mean, Star Wars is the Wild West, so some of the, some of the more high, maybe some of the jobs that we would consider low risk in the real world either don't exist or are still dangerous because people randomly show up and murder civilians all the time in Star Wars. And then some of the jobs that are, maybe higher risk are more, necessary. What job would you want to avoid? What Star Wars job would you want to avoid?
Probably stormtrooper. That's an easy one.
That makes
You're both
sense.
You're both like a fascist peon as well as, bad at your job.
And finally, what would you like to see with the future of the Star Wars CCG?
Um, I would love to see some version of like the auto include shields that everyone puts down just to be made into game rules. Like maybe we should just pay a force always to retrieve. You know what I mean? Like maybe that's
Mm-hmm.
like an okay rule, or maybe like force drain costs 3 if you don't occupy a site in space and on the ground. I
Right,
think
right.
those are like easy ones that um, might make it into rules that will just like free up some space to be more creative.
Right, right. Yeah, there's definitely an argument for having the cards be rules and then having your and then also having a ban list for the shields that are basically ban cards. Um
Yeah, you know.
but then it's like but then do you do the what about the ones that have ban cards? I don't know. Yeah, it's
Yeah, I mean,
or maybe
the
you
thing is,
still
like,
have the shield.
there's already a de facto ban list by most cards being bad, right? Of the 3,000 odd cards from the original 12 sets or whatever, 85% of them are bad. Like
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
look at
yeah.
Premiere, there's what 30 playable cards,
Yeah.
in the whole set, like in a
That's
modern setting, maybe. And so
that's
I,
true.
I
Yeah.
don't know. It's just like already most of the stuff is bad, so almost like they're by defact or whatever
All
de
right.
facto not going to be
Yeah.
played.
All right. Well, thanks a lot for doing this, Matt. This was a fun little conversation. And keep doing what you're doing. Thanks everyone for listening. Until next time, good luck, have fun, and no reverts.
See you guys.
This podcast is a production of the KendallCast Podcast Network. You can support the show for just $2 a month at patreon.com/KendallCast or make a direct donation through the PayPal link at kendallcast.ninja. Every little bit helps.